Have you ever wondered why the Bible speaks so often of precious gemstones? From the very first pages of Scripture to its breathtaking final vision, gemstones appear again and again. Emeralds, sapphires, jasper, onyx, beryl, amethyst, gold, and pearls. At first glance, they seem like beautiful details, ancient decorations woven into stories written thousands of years ago. But what if there's something more? What if every precious stone mentioned in the Bible has a purpose? Why would the creator of the universe choose gemstones to describe his glory? Why would a high priest wear 12 precious stones over his heart? Why is God's throne described with dazzling jewels? And why is heaven itself built upon foundations of sapphire, emerald, jasper, and gold? These aren't random details. They form a remarkable thread running through the entire Bible. A story of beauty, holiness, covenant, redemption, and the eternal presence of God. In this documentary, we'll journey from the breastplate of Aaron to the throne of heaven, and finally to the New Jerusalem. Along the way, we'll uncover why gemstones became some of the most powerful symbols in all of Scripture. Because in the Bible, precious stones were never just treasures of the earth. They were reflections of something far greater. Together, we'll journey through Scripture, uncovering the beauty, mystery, and profound symbolism hidden within the Bible's most remarkable gemstones.
If gemstones are simply beautiful rocks, why do they appear so often throughout the pages of Scripture? The answer begins with understanding what a gemstone truly is. Unlike ordinary stone, a gemstone is formed over millions of years. Deep beneath the Earth's surface, immense heat and unimaginable pressure slowly transform common minerals into objects of extraordinary beauty. Hidden in darkness, shaped by time, refined by forces beyond human control. Long before modern science explained how gemstones were created, ancient civilizations looked upon them with awe. Their dazzling colors, remarkable rarity, and incredible durability made them symbols of kings, temples, and the divine. To the people of the Bible, gemstones were among the most precious treasures on earth, not because they were expensive, but because they reflected qualities that seemed almost heavenly. Their brilliance symbolized light overcoming darkness. Their purity spoke of holiness. Their strength suggested permanence and eternity. Their rarity reminded people that what is truly valuable is never commonplace. Throughout Scripture, light is closely associated with the presence of God, and few objects in nature capture and reflect light quite like a precious gemstone. It is perhaps no coincidence that when biblical writers searched for earthly images to describe the indescribable glory of God, they so often turned to the beauty of precious stones. But this symbolism wasn't merely poetic. God would soon command that gemstones be worn over the heart of Israel's high priest, each one carrying profound meaning. And that remarkable story begins in the book of Exodus. A remarkable story that begins in the book of Exodus. Yet it does not end there. The same language of gemstones that first appears upon the breastplate of the high priest later re-emerges in Scripture at its highest point, when heaven itself is opened and the throne of God is revealed in glory. In the book of Revelation, John is given a vision that stretches human language to its limit, and as he attempts to describe what he sees, he repeatedly turns to gemstones and precious materials, as if the only way to speak about divine reality is through the language of the earth's most refined expressions of light and beauty. The throne of God is described with the appearance of jasper and carnelian, stones associated with fire, depth, and radiant clarity, suggesting a presence that is not distant or static, but alive with overwhelming intensity that cannot be fully contained in human description. Before the throne, a rainbow like emerald encircles the scene, not fragmented light as in nature, but a unified and living radiance that speaks of covenant, mercy, and eternal order surrounding the presence of God. And beneath this vision, the foundations of the heavenly city are revealed as being built from 12 gemstones, each one distinct and perfectly ordered, forming an eternal structure that reflects divine intention rather than human design. Jasper, sapphire, emerald, and amethyst are among those named, as if heaven itself rests upon layers of perfected light rather than ordinary stone. The gates are described as pearl, formed through hidden transformation, suggesting that even entry into eternity is shaped by endurance, becoming beauty. And within the city there is no need for sun or moon, because the presence of God Himself becomes the source of all light, filling everything with brilliance that never fades. In this moment, gemstones are no longer symbols carried on a priestly garment, but the very language of heaven's architecture, as if what began in Exodus now reaches its ultimate expression in eternity. And it raises a deeper question, because if both earth's worship and heaven's vision are described in the same language of stones, then these materials must be revealing something far greater than beauty alone. As the story continues through Scripture, a subtle but powerful pattern begins to emerge. Because gemstones are never introduced as common materials, nor are they ever treated as decorative afterthoughts, but instead they consistently appear in moments where God is revealing something about identity, purpose, and divine order that goes far beyond human expectation. From a high priest's breastplate in Exodus to the vision of heaven in Revelation, these stones seem to travel through Scripture as if they are part of a hidden language, one that is not spoken in words alone, but expressed through color, light, and transformation under pressure. What makes this pattern even more striking is that gemstones are formed in complete contrast to how their beauty is eventually revealed. Because what is seen as priceless on the surface is created only through deep pressure, hidden darkness, and long periods of time where nothing appears beautiful at all. Yet everything necessary for glory is being shaped beneath what the human eye can see. And so a question begins to form within the story itself. Because if God repeatedly chooses to use something that is formed through pressure and concealment, then perhaps the value is not only in what it becomes, but also in the process through which it is made, suggesting that transformation itself is part of a message being revealed through Scripture. By now, a remarkable question demands an answer. If gemstones are simply beautiful rocks, why does the Bible use them to describe heaven itself? The answer may lie in what gemstones uniquely are. Among everything found in nature, gemstones are the Earth's most refined creations. They are exceptionally rare, extraordinarily durable, and possess a brilliance that ordinary stone can never achieve. More than almost any other natural material, they capture light, transform it, and return it with breathtaking beauty. In Scripture, those same qualities mirror the nature of God's kingdom. Their purity reflects holiness. Their rarity speaks of infinite worth. Their strength points to what is eternal and cannot decay. And their brilliance reflects the glory of God, whose presence throughout the Bible is so often revealed through radiant light. When John describes the New Jerusalem, he is not saying that heaven simply contains beautiful jewels. He is showing that the very foundations of God's eternal kingdom are built from the finest materials creation can offer. Nothing ordinary could adequately express the majesty of an extraordinary God. That is why the heavenly city is described with sapphire, emerald, jasper, amethyst, and the other precious stones. They are not chosen merely because they are valuable to humanity, but because they are the closest earthly reflection of purity, permanence, and glory. From the breastplate of the high priest, to the throne of heaven, to the foundations of the New Jerusalem, the message remains beautifully consistent. Whenever Scripture seeks to describe the overwhelming splendor of God's presence, it reaches for the most brilliant treasures that creation possesses. We have seen gemstones in the depths of the earth, in ancient civilizations, in the garments of priests, in visions of heaven itself, and yet they are always pointing to something beyond themselves. Because gemstones were never just about beauty. They were about meaning. Across Scripture, and across many ancient traditions that also valued precious stones, there is a shared recognition that these materials carry symbolism that feels larger than their physical form. Whether in sacred texts, royal regalia, or spiritual art across cultures, gemstones consistently represent light, transformation, purity, and the mystery of what is refined through time and pressure. And perhaps this is where the deeper message begins to emerge. Because a gemstone is not born perfect. It is formed, slowly and quietly over time. Pressure becomes the environment of transformation. Darkness becomes the place of becoming. And time becomes the unseen sculptor that reveals what was hidden within. There are seasons in every human journey where clarity is not immediate, where meaning is not visible, and where growth feels indistinguishable from struggle. Yet, like the formation of a gemstone, something is still happening in those hidden places, something shaping character, depth, and resilience. And so, when Scripture uses gemstones to describe sacred things, it may be doing more than offering decoration or symbolism. It may be inviting us to see life differently, to recognize that light often emerges from pressure, that beauty can be born from hidden places, and that transformation is rarely instant, but it is intentional. It is also important to remember that these reflections are drawn from biblical imagery. Yet gemstones themselves appear in many spiritual traditions across history. And perhaps that is the quiet conclusion of this entire journey. Whether viewed through scripture, history, or broader spiritual reflection, gemstones remind us of something simple yet profound. What is formed under pressure can become what carries the most light. And maybe, just maybe, the same is true for us.
As we reach the end of this journey, one truth quietly remains. From the opening pages of Scripture to the visions of heaven itself, from the hidden depths of the earth to the highest place of divine glory, gemstones have been there. And whether you view these ideas through Scripture or broader spiritual reflection, one message remains universal. There is value in the process. There is meaning in the waiting. And there is beauty in what is being formed within us. If you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing. It truly makes all the difference and helps this journey continue. Thank you for watching.